Hi, everyone. Amy Collins here for Free Advice Friday. It's wonderful to see you all. I see you on Facebook. I see you here live. I use Zoom as a streaming webinar cast. We are here every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, and I'm here to answer your questions. I've got questions that came in on Twitter. I have questions that have come in on email, and I would love to answer your questions live. Free Advice Friday can be found on my website, but it can also be found at amysadvice.com. So if you're curious about how to join us live and you'd like to ask questions and interact with me real time instead of watching this on a replay or watching it on Facebook, please go to amysadvice.com and you can sign up to join us here real time all the time. All right, so let's see what kind of questions we've got going. Linda, I can't see you. For those of you who are asking if I can see you, no, your cameras are not on. The only person who can see you is me, but I can see your questions. So for those who are watching live with me on the Zoom broadcast, just go down to the Q&A box on the bottom. Type in hi, say good morning. Let me know that you found it, but the Q&A box is the best place to leave questions. For those of you who are watching me live on Facebook Live, know that I will do my best to catch you on Facebook Live as well. I don't always catch all those questions, but I will absolutely do my best to make sure that I catch those there. Hey, Wendy, how are you? I got your questions and I will be answering them. It's great to see you guys. All right, so some of the questions that I'm being asked, I've answered definitely before in the past, and I will do so again. I will answer these questions as often as you'd like me to. So let me start with Kristen's question. She wants to know if she changes her book cover, does she need a new ISBN and a new catalog block? So here is this question I know the answer to. Kristen, if the only thing you've changed is the book cover, if that's it, if the title's the same, if the content is the same, you do not need a new ISBN, you do not need a new catalog block. The cover is fine. Change the cover, put it on. Now, if your book is 5-10 years old and you've updated the content, or if you've changed the title or the subtitle, yes, you do need a new ISBN, and you need to indicate that this book was previously published as, and you have to put the name of the old title and the old ISBN on your copyright page. And it's not a bad idea to also mention that in your Amazon description and some of the things online. So Jay, it's good to see you. Wonderful. And good morning, Lynn. All right. So let's see. I see Vicki is joining me live on Facebook. Good to see you, Vicki. All right, so I'm going to go back and forth. This is how this works on Friday mornings for those of you who are new. I answer questions that were tweeted to me. I answer questions that were emailed to me. I answer questions on Facebook Live, and I answer your questions here live on my Zoom. For those of you who are in the chat box, I will do my best, but you guys are asking me to look at 5 different places, which of course I will happily do. I'm here for you guys. I'm here for you. So let me see. Alexander is in the chat box, not in the Q&A, asking from Canada if the copyright should change too. Alexander, I do not know exactly what you're asking. If you mean, if you change the title, does the copyright information have to change? And the answer is, I don't know. I'm going to need to research that. I am not a publishing lawyer nor an expert about copyright. Now, I would recommend, if you guys want to know stuff about copyright, Jane Friedman at janefriedman.com. The woman knows more about publishing than I ever have. She's forgotten more about publishing than I've ever known. When it comes to copyright issues, you want to go to janefriedman.com. So I'm going to type her website into the chat box right now, and I'm going to type it into the Free Advice Friday live broadcast going on at Facebook. Now, I don't get anything for recommending Jane, but I adore her. She's smart, she's savvy, she knows about copyright. Alexander, I do not know. I do not know about Canadian copyright laws, but she does. And Ellie is saying that Jane is free as well, is great as well. So I love that. Sorry, Alex. Sometimes I don't know the answer, guys, but I'm here every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern to answer the questions I do know. I can answer those. All right. Sonia is saying on a recent webinar that she missed, apparently I talked about the importance of getting into Bookbub. She wants to know what it entails. She's already listed her book in her profile, but she doubts that advertising a book as niche as Solving the Divorce would result in sales to cover the expensive fees. This I can answer. Sonia, I would be happy to give you, and all of you, my Bookbub overview. Here's the deal about Bookbub. Bookbub is the best at the moment. If you're watching this on a replay and it's way past July 2019, everything could be different. But as of July 2019, Bookbub is a fantastic place to promote your book. And what you do is you drop the cost of your ebook from full price down to 99 cents or $1.99. Occasionally, the larger houses will only go down to $2.99, but Bookbub doesn't like those as much. So if you are self-published, or if you're a small press or a micro press, if you're doing this on your own, 99 cents or $1.99. Drop the price from full price to that. And Bookbub then will promote your ebook, which has been dropped down for just a few days at that 99, let's say 99 cent price. And they will do that by emailing thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of their members who have signed up for their newsletter, their week newsletter about your category. Sonia, you're right. The nonfiction prescriptive how-to category is nowhere near as robust or as full a membership list as, let's say, thriller novels or romance novels. You're right. But Bookbub, when you apply for a listing, not an ad, but when you apply for a listing, they have a sliding scale. So it doesn't cost as much to get into the prescriptive how-to market mailing because there's not as many people who've signed up for it. That's only probably $400 or $500, as opposed to the thriller or suspense category, which is $800 or $1,000 if you get accepted. But those are featured listings. That's when you go to Bookbub a month or 3 or 4 in advance. You tell them you're going to drop the price and you ask them if they would consider listing your book. You apply. You give them all the information about your book. You tell them about your reviews. You write a very compelling letter to them in their application on their website. Partners.bookbub.com is how you apply. And if they accept you, then you drop the price and they do the mailing. That's how it works. But advertising on Bookbub is different. That's giving them $700, $800, $1,000 and having them send out an ad about your book. And that has not gotten my clients the return on the investment that the listings do. Every client I've had that because I'll do Bookbub applications for them. Every client I've had where they've gotten into a Bookbub listing, they've made their money back and then some. And they've gotten thousands of new readers. And in many cases, dozens, or in 1 or 2 specific cases, hundreds of new reviews. But advertising on Bookbub is different. People do not treat the ads the same way they treat the newsletter listings. So that is my thoughts on Bookbub. For a book like yours, I would only do a listing. I wouldn't do an ad, but I would apply for a listing on a regular basis. You can apply every 30 days. If you are not accepted, you can apply 30 days later. If you are accepted for a listing, you're not allowed to do it again for 6 months. That's the rule at the moment. All right, so let me see if there's any other Bookbub questions before I move on. Wendy is asking if I can give the website of Bookbub again, please. Sure. The actual Bookbub website is bookbub.com, BOOKBUB. But to apply, you need to become a Bookbub partner, which is free, and that is partners.bookbub.com. So that is the website, partner.bookbub.com. All right. Stephen is asking what to do to test marketing ideas on a small scale before investing larger amounts. Well, Stephen, my advice whenever you're trying to figure out the best return on your investment is to start by researching what worked for other people. You don't have to spend any money to test a marketing idea. You need to invest your time. There are tons of people out there who have built up a street team. There's tons of people out there who have done Amazon ads. There's lots of people who did Bookbub. And if you simply Google these ideas, you will find discussion groups online, author marketing experts, AME, or ALLI, ALLI, independent book publishers, IPGA. All of these places have discussion groups where people are actually discussing on a regular basis what worked for them and what didn't. If you have decided that you want to do, let's say, an IBPA mailing, and you're not sure if it's going to be a good idea, just ask people who have done it in the past. Pose the question on Twitter or Facebook. Get the question out there. So testing a marketing idea is often in people's minds a way to start testing the water, but I say start before then. Start asking people who did exactly what it is you're trying to do and ask how it worked for them. Make sure that if you've written, and Stephen, I know you've written a book about how to pay for college, so a romance novelist's experience won't be a good fit. But if you and Sonia get together and trade ideas, she wrote a book about getting divorced and you wrote a book about how to pay for college, that's a pretty close affinity. See what worked for her. So I would suggest you toss the ideas out there, and that would be my advice for you. All right, let's see other questions. Are there any questions here on Facebook? I do not see any, so I'm going to go back to you people. I want to remind you again that if you'd like to ask questions live on this broadcast every Friday at 10 a.m., just go to amysadvice.com. I do Free Advice Friday every Friday at 10 a.m. And when I'm not here, my business partner and amazing cohort, Carrie Barnum, she will be here week after next, just so you guys know. I'm not always the one that answers the questions. Denise is saying she received the PCIP prepared by Donahue for the copyright page. Okay, for those of you who don't know, I have a blog on my website, newshelves.com/blog. And if you don't know what a PCIP is, go there, read about it. It's a really long answer, but Denise got a very large block of data prepared for her copyright page by the Donahue Group, which is one of the few groups that I actually endorse and recommend for this work because they can get your book into the library databases. But she wants to know, should she include what they put on the top, prepared by the Donahue Group, incorporated on the page? That's her first question. You have to, Denise, for this reason. If you strip out the fact that the book was prepared by the Donahue Group, you are taking away one of the most valuable and powerful parts of your PCIP block. See, a librarian wants to know that your PCIP block was not homemade, that it was actually created by a company that's been vetted and approved by the Library of Congress, that the librarian who cataloged your book was trained to do so. And if you strip out prepared by the Donahue Group, it looks like you did it yourself. You want their name on the top of that thing. This is not advertising for them. They're not trying to get away with promoting themselves. The librarians, trust me, the only people looking at that block is going to be librarians, and they need to see that it was prepared by an official company like the Donahue Group. So if somebody prepares a PCIP block for you that is not the Library of Congress, you have to mention where it was prepared by. Those companies that get their PCIP blocks, actually from the Library of Congress, they're simply called CIP blocks, Catalog and Publication blocks. The Library of Congress will prepare a catalog and publication block for a publisher if that publisher has at least 4 books by a minimum of 3 different authors. If you do not hit that threshold, you have to pay someone else to do it. And so you do not want to strip that out because you want the libraries to trust you and to trust that your data is good. Denise is asking if on the copyright page, should she include all the ISBNs, hardback, paperback, ISB, ebook, also audiobook? Denise, yes. This was not always the case, but as of, again, July 2019, the common practice on a copyright page is to list all of the ISBNs of all the formats of your book. So hardback, paperback, ebook, audiobook. If you've decided to put one ISBN on the Kindle and another ISBN on the EPUB, which some publishers are doing, I'm not weighing in on that. I'm not saying whether you should or shouldn't at this point, unless someone asks me. But you should definitely put all of your ISBNs on the copyright page. This is a relatively new practice, but one I completely endorse and helps a lot. Stephen is saying he tried to ask someone to leave a review of his book on Library Thing, but the problem is the book wasn't there. How do people add books that are not yet on Library Thing? Well, I don't have all the steps, Stephen, but if you go to Library Thing, Lorraine, who runs it, she's got a frequently asked questions page, and you submit your book to Library Thing if you're not listed. And you need to submit your book as the publisher. So the first step is you get approved as a publisher on Library Thing, and then you can submit your book. It doesn't just happen automatically. So if you are telling people to leave a review on Library Thing, they have to be members of Library Thing, and your book and you have to be approved as the publisher, and your book needs to be up there. So that is the easy. If your book is not up there, then that's the easiest way. First, you fill out a submission. I think it's an email form to Lorraine. And again, she's got the instructions on her site. And then you can submit your book once she accepts you as a publisher. All right. Let's see about some other questions that may be coming in. Let me check the emails that you guys have been sending me. They're right here. Hope everyone has got great plans for the weekend. Here in upstate New York, it is supposed to be extremely hot this weekend. I have been pulling out fans and leaving them on the curb for people who don't have air conditioning. It's going to be a heck of a weekend. All right. Now, Wendy, who I know is on the call, wrote to say that she actually is going to be talking to someone right after Free Advice Friday about copyright issues. So that's great. But last week, I mentioned apparently that if a book is 2 to 3 years old, we might want to, I didn't say you should, but you might want to consider coming out with a second edition for libraries and bookstores. Just seriously consider it. And she wants to know if I have guidelines about how to go about creating a second edition. Okay, Wendy, that I actually moved that to this question today because that's a really big question and I love it. And I'm going to give you only the 30,000-foot answer. There's a lot more that goes into it. But the general rule of thumb is if you are going to update, change, or edit 20% or more of your book, that is a revised and updated second edition. And you are allowed to put the words revised and updated into your second edition right on the title. If it is less than 20% updated content, it is simply a second edition. So be careful about what you put on the cover or on the copyright page. A revised and updated second edition means that at least 20% of your content has been updated. I am doing a revised and updated second edition of my book, The Right Way, to come out soon, but that does not mean that I just slapped a new cover on. I mean, it's completely getting an overhaul. That is different than what I'm talking about, which is, you know, when your book's 3 years old, do you want to do a second edition? You need, for the most part, some compelling reason to make this second edition something that people want. And the compelling reason can't be because you want a fresh start. And so, yes, that's why you're doing it, but that is not the compelling reason that you're going to put out there. So if you're going to do a second edition, make sure that you either get a foreword by somebody else, that you take it through another edit, do something to, spiff it up, take it through a proofread, make sure that it is a better version of your book. If you're just going to slap a new cover on it, as I said to, I think it was Denise or whoever asked before, that's the same ISBN, same pub date. But if you're going to update and freshen up the book, even if it's just with a good copy edit or a good thorough proofread, that's good enough for me. Then you put a new ISBN, a new cover, but the same title on your book, mention on the copyright page that it was previously published in whatever date, and this will give you an opportunity to re-release your book into the market and get reviews and perhaps be able to launch your book in a more robust and in a more successful way. So those are again, that is a hugely high level overview. How do you produce a second edition? Well, that's like, how do you publish a book? There's tons of steps, but you want to keep the title the same so that the reviews from the first edition poured over to the second edition online, because it's not just Amazon, also Barnes and Noble. So, all right. I have a question here from Kathleen, and I actually get these questions sometimes from Stephen and from some of you. asking that she spent, I'm just using her first name, Kathleen, has spent a ton of money on illustrations, production, website, and inventory, and she would prefer not to spend any money on marketing or sales. And I'm okay with that. I have zero problem with that. You guys have heard me say this before. Time, money, talent. Pick any two. As long as you have 2 out of those 3, you're good. If you have a truly well-designed, produced book and you have tons of time, you do not need to spend a lot of money or any money on marketing or selling your book, because you can do it yourself. And I'm happy to give you ideas. That is actually what Bestseller Builders is all about. If you guys go to bestsellervideo.com, I have a 1-hour video you can watch that gives you tons of ideas on how you can go and promote your book. You can build your platform, you can market. Marketing is not publicity, it's a very different thing. So Kathleen had some questions, and I love the idea. If you spent all your money on illustrations and design and editing, I think that's a terrific idea, because there's a really slim chance that you're a good enough editor, designer, and producer to produce a high enough quality book. But anyone can market their own book with time and with attention to detail. And that's why, again, go to bestsellervideo.com, come up with a list of ideas. Some of them are to ask for reviews every day, to be posting and learning everything you can about social media. I have recently discovered that I am a dinosaur when it comes to social media. Apparently, when you hit 50, you slow way down in your learning curve. So I am hiring smarter, faster people than I to teach me and to help me with my social media. Guys, be a sponge. Learn what you can. Stay teachable. Even people like me who think we know everything, isn't that annoying? I need to stay teachable. I need to understand that everything changes every 5 minutes and that I need to stay up on things. So if you do not want to pay somebody, like right now I am paying someone a chunk of change, very worth it, to do my social media and to help me with my website and to spiff things up. But that's because I don't have the time. If I had more time than money, I would dig in and I would learn. I would do what I just told you guys to do. I would research. I would start asking questions online. I would join into discussion groups. I'd find out what's happening on Twitter and that it's dying and I need to move everything to Instagram. And I would go nuts with this stuff. But the truth is I don't have that kind of time, so I'm spending my money. So spend your time. And that is, I think it's a terrific idea. Very few people should spend a lot of money marketing their book, but everybody should spend their time. All right. Stephen is asking for ways to get fast reviews for a book, not looking for scams or gray area requests. I love that, because those whole trading reviews and stuff, none of that's working anymore. What's the most effective for getting reviews? Stephen, if you're talking about online reviews, the most effective, quickest way to get it done, in my opinion, is I use K Promotions. It used to be called Kindle Promotions, but K Promotions is a company in the UK that I adore. And K Promotions out in the UK will, you have to be approved. They don't take everybody. But if they decide to take your book on for a set fee, it's a couple $100 or more, depending on what you want them to do. From anywhere from $300 to I think $600, it's a sliding scale. They will go and get you a number of reviews with integrity. They do it without being sleazy. There's no gray area. It's not a scam. It is simply a company that has a lot of connections to online reviewers. And when they offer a book to them, those reviewers put your book at the top of the list. They are not compensated for this. Your book needs to go down to 99 cents or $1.99 because they actually want the reviewers to buy the book so that they're verified reviews. So the fastest way to do that is to drop the ebook and use K Promotions. I like them. I've used them myself. I highly recommend you check them out. All right. Let's see some other questions. Andrew Heffernan, you are my favorite person today. Guys, just ignore the man behind the curtain. He is nobody to look at. Andrew Heffernan is on Facebook teasing me because I actually explained to him at a dinner party probably about 10 years ago that books about dinosaurs were very popular. We're just going to leave it there. Some of you know what I'm talking about. I just want to let you know, Andrew, I will get you. I will be talking to you very soon because Free Advice Friday is over in 10 minutes and I'm going to hunt you down. All right. Alexander is, Sandy, sorry. I'm not going to read that out loud, Alexander. You're adorable. Time is an issue, he said. He has a first novel with a second underway, and he wants to know about marketing or agent suggestions. Alexander, the best thing I can do is that if time is of the essence is to understand that the agent route, getting an agent and then getting a publisher, you're talking about at least 2 years. Even if you got an agent tomorrow, it would be 18 months to 2 years before your book came out. So my suggestion for you is to skip the agent route. Find a truly legitimate hybrid publisher. There are some terrific ones out there. I'm not going to list them here on the camera, but if you go, there's a number of companies that I can recommend, but I would suggest you go to the ALLI website, ALLI, the Alliance of Independent Authors. ALLI, run by Orna Ross. It's over in the UK, but they're an international organization. They have a list of hybrid publishers and co-publishers that could get your book out in a much more integral but quicker manner. They've got great editors at some of these companies. So I would recommend that you go to ALLI, ALLI, and check out the companies that they would recommend. I trust them. I trust Orna and her team, and that organization will get you started. I don't believe, if time is of the essence, that an agent or a traditional publisher is a good idea. All right. We have an anonymous question here from somebody who's asking if it's appropriate to follow up with book bloggers who have agreed to review your book. A number of bloggers agreed to review the book in April, but none of them have written a review. You realize they're busy. They have a long list of books. You don't want to be a pest. Dear Anonymous, April, they agreed to review it in April, May, June. It is perfectly okay for you to send them a lovely note and say just that. I know you're busy. I'm not trying to be a pest, but I was wondering if you'd gotten to the book and decided not to review it. Just asking, not at all, I'm not trying to push you. It's just, just was curious. Is it something that maybe wasn't, because what happens a lot, guys, is, and I was talking to someone about this the other day. I was on the phone with a guy named Bill, whose last name shall remain nameless. I was sitting outside talking to Bill, and he had approached 40 bloggers. And 2 of them agreed to review his book. And he was very upset by this number. And I tried hard not to laugh, because we here, when we're working with clients, we approach 125 to 150 bloggers every week. And if we get 2 or 3 yeses a week, we're thrilled. So I approached 3 or 4 times the number of bloggers he did. I thought he was doing great. 2 yeses with 40 approaches? That's fabulous. But I also want you guys to know it's a numbers game. For every 10 bloggers who agree to review your book, maybe 2 will. 2. Let's say 2. So only about 20% of the people who say they're going to review your book are actually going to review your book. And be happy about that, because about half of them aren't going to like your book. And so just be so grateful that the half who didn't like your book decided not to write a review. When we follow up with bloggers, we often get from them the following email. Hi, Amy. Thanks for following up about the book that you sent me that your client wrote. Listen, it wasn't really my cup of tea. I'm happy to write a review, but I'd actually have to say that I didn't enjoy it. And I say, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate the fact you didn't post that review. Hugs and kisses, Amy. I mean, that's how you follow up. So, dear Anonymous, that's how you do it. Yes, you can follow up. But understand that a lot of the people who agreed to review your book probably didn't, and that's okay. That's all right. All right. Ellie's saying that she too has had a hard time in getting readers to leave reviews. Comments come into her about how good the book is, but when they ask them to review, they say they will, but where is it? Guys, please keep in mind that because you're all writers, you think the rest of us are. I'm not a writer. And I'll tell you this right now. I read a minimum. I read 2 or 3 books a week. I eat books. That's just the books I read for pleasure. That doesn't even include the books that I have to read for work. And some books I love. My favorite book in the whole world right now is by Hilary Mantel. She's writing this trilogy about Thomas Cromwell, and it was announced yesterday that the third book is finally coming out in March. I was so excited, I squealed out loud in Wegmans. It was the highlight of my month. But I've never written a review of Hilary Mantel's Wolf Hall or Bringing Up the Bones. I don't write reviews. I love the book. I want everyone to read these books, but I don't write reviews. I'm not a writer. I don't know where to start. And I'm being a little facetious because I know I'm in the industry. I know where to start. But if I don't write reviews, can you imagine how your church cohorts and your friends on the street, how they feel? Writing does not come naturally to them. So if you truly want people to write reviews, help them out. Sandy Beckwith at buildbookbuzz.com. And if you go to newshelves.com/buzz, newshelves.com/BUZZ, Sandy Beckwith has actually created a whole bunch of templates that you can go to and find that will help people write reviews. I believe it's $9. So go to buildbookbuzz.com or go to my site and /buzz and you can make your way to her site. And she has, I believe it's only $9. It may be $9.99, but it's under $10. She has got both for fiction and nonfiction a short set of templated emails that you can send out to encourage people to write reviews that asks them questions that gets them thinking. And if they answer 3 or 4 out of these 10 questions that she's asked, their review is already written. They can just cut and paste that into Barnes & Noble or Chapters or Amazon. It's a fantastic tool. So please go there. Just know that lots of people mean it when they say they're going to write a review, but they don't always get there. Oh dear, let's see. Okay, it is 10:33. Usually these end at 10:30, but more and more of you guys are joining me. So here's a new thing. I'm going to start pushing these out to 10:45. Let's just keep going and answering questions till 10:45. And any questions I don't get to this week, I will get to next week. But let me look real quick at the people who emailed me this week. We got a question from Maria. Maria is very, very excited. Her book just ended up on Walmart.com, which I'm thrilled about too. Her book was released last September, but she's not seen any money from Ingram Spark. And she knows that books are selling. People are telling her that her book that they're buying her book, but she's not seeing any payments from Ingram Spark, and that's where she's gone through, or from Amazon. So there's a couple things I want to mention to you guys. If you see that your book's up on Walmart, there's a really good chance that Ingram Spark got you there. Ingram Spark has an agreement with them. They don't take all the books, but they take some of the ones that they like. So congratulations to Maria for getting up on Walmart.com. And if people, and she's driving people there, and she's driving people to Amazon and to Barnes & Noble, and people are telling her they're buying her book, but she's not seeing any money. I have 3 or 4 things to say about that. The first one is, have you waited 60 to 90 days? Because KDP, which replaced CreateSpace used to pay people 30 days after the month that the book was sold. So you had to wait 45 to 60 days, worst case scenario, to see your money. But now KDP, which replaced CreateSpace, they now pay 60 days after the end of the month which the book was sold. So you have to wait 90 days now for your money in some cases. If your book sold April 1st, April, May, June, you're not going to see your money till July. So my first question is, did you wait long enough? Ingram Spark, same sort of deal. They pay, I believe, on 90-day terms. So you will get a monthly report that is actually showing you data from last April in July. So that's my first question. My second question is, I can only give you my experience, guys. I have amazing friends. I have friends that I would lift a burning car off of. And the truth is, they would do the same for me. But when they tell me they bought my book, I do not believe them. Because my experience, I work with thousands of you authors every year. And I will tell you that nobody yet, and I've worked for almost 30 years with authors, and I will tell you that I have yet to meet an author who the amount of people they know and love who said they bought their book and read their book and loved their book actually matched the number of people who bought their book and loved their book. It's something people say. Of course, they're going to say they bought your book. It's human nature. You're standing there in the vestibule of the dry cleaner. You're running to Joyce from down the street. What else is she going to say? Give these guys a bit of a break, but I'm here to tell you that at least half the people who told you they bought their book your book didn't. I'm sorry to say it. It's just true. You got to trust me on this, guys. And the third thing I want to say about this, Maria, if indeed that's not true, if 200 of your friends said they bought your book, so you can pretty much guess that 100 of them really did, and they bought them in February and you've not seen a dime, it's time to call a forensic accountant. It's time to bring in a lawyer or an accountant. It's time to send an official letter from your bookkeeper or from your accounting team to Ingram and to KDP on their letterhead, telling them that they'd like to audit them. And you're well within your rights to do so. It's right in your agreements. You are allowed to ask them to open their books to you. I hope that answers that question in a way that was not too upsetting. Linda, you do not need to buy my book. I will send you one. You're fine. And I'll be honest with you, Linda, I didn't buy your book. I mean, I did because you're a client, but I bought them for people. Actually, I may actually have bought your ebook or your husband's ebook. All right. So an anonymous person is looking for ways to incentivize people who downloaded her workbook to purchase the paid book as well. Now, we talked about this last week. If you're going to download a workbook for your book and you want to incentivize them to buy the full book, besides offering them a bundle on Kindle, do I have any other suggestions? And I said this last week, I'm going to say it again. If the workbook is tied to your actual physical book, that you may have let the horse out of the barn. They may feel that the workbook is all they need. So trying to incentivize them to buy your book by giving them a free workbook is kind of backwards. I would make them buy the book and then give them the workbook for free. That's how that should work. Having them trying to get them to buy a book after you gave them a free book with the same title or the same theory has never worked for me. And we talked about this last week, now it's time to write your next book. There's other content that you guys have. You can create a thicker, more fleshed out version of your book with a different focus. You can create a smaller, more niche-y book that's just an ebook or a very slim booklet that you sell in paper. What I would do at this point, if you've got a free workbook and a paid for actual book, is that you make them pay for the book to get the free workbook. That's how that works. All right, let's see if there's any questions here. Bum, bum, bum. Hi, Robbie. Yeah, I probably should be paying attention to Facebook Live, but I don't know if you guys know, as I mentioned, Free Advice Friday is a bit of a three-ring circus every Friday at 10 a.m. I'm here online. If you go to amysadvice.com, you can actually join me live and ask questions I give first preference to the people who are actually joining me on the webinar, but I try very, very hard to keep my eye on all of you guys there in Facebook land. I'm looking here to see if I'm missing anything. All right, a few more questions that I'm going to answer before I move on. Trina is saying she has an agent interested in her manuscript, and the agent saw the proposal. The manuscript is done, but the agent has not responded to her last two notes to see if she wanted to see the completed manuscript. Should you just mark her as closed? No, Trina, do not mark her as closed, but stop asking. She's pending. Until you get a note from her, I have some author friends and I have agent friends who literally who have 6-8 months of backlog. And I have author friends who got an agent and got a publishing deal 2 years after they thought something was done. If an agent was interested in your manuscript and has seen the proposal and is not responding to your follow-up, you do not mark it closed. On your tracking sheet, mark pending, as opposed to follow up and move on. And, stay in touch with her in social media, just try to be of service, move on, find other, but keep trying to find an agent, but keep the lines of communication open. All right. There's some great advice on how to work with agents at agentquery.com. may I recommend that you guys, if you're curious, going to agentquery.com would be a terrific start. And again, I mentioned Jane Friedman. I don't know why I'm such a fangirl today about Jane, but I would recommend that you also take a look at Jane Friedman's site. Agentquery.com has some great articles. There's Books & Co., which is a Christian-based group of agents, but their advice about how to deal with agents and query is stellar. So Google, Books & Co. agency, and they've got a great blog that I subscribe to that I adore. All right, let's see. I'm looking for questions. Bookbub, another question about Bookbub. He wants to know if Bookbub points books to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or to an author site. No, Bookbub will only point books and will only accept and list a book if it's available on Apple and Kobo and Barnes & Noble and Amazon. It has to be available across a multiple of platforms. It doesn't have to be available on all of them, but it has to be available on a lot. And they will not point to your site. They'll point to those sites. That's how it works. All right. Ellie, when you see Jane, tell her I said hi. Stephen, we've got time for one more question. I see two here. Stephen is asking. Stephen, I got to suggest when you're asking questions about how to approach bloggers and article sites and stuff, when you got to there are publicity and media experts out there like Sandy Beckwith, like, you know what, I adore Annie Jennings. Go to their sites, see Annie Jennings, Sandy Beckwith. There are people out there who know how to pitch bloggers. I am a publishing person, and I can help you with distribution. For instance, so Stephen's questions, what things should be in place before launching a marketing campaign? Again, marketing I know about. Publicity I'm a little fuzzy on. What should be written in your ad copy, what things can be created as you go. The answer, Stephen, is two very large groups of things. Everything should be done before you get started, and everything needs to be recreated as you go. I don't mean to be flip, but here's the deal. You're going to need 3 or 4 templated emails. One that's going to pitch you to the press, and one that's going to pitch you to the marketplace, like bookstores and libraries, and another one that's going to pitch you to reviewers and to people on our industry. But each of these templated emails where you're saying, hello, my name is, and this is what I'm looking for, and this is what I can offer you, and this is why I'm approaching you, each of those needs to be tweaked and personified, personalized is the word I'm looking for every approach you make. Do not cut and paste the same email and send out to 6 people. It's not going to work. So those templates need to be in place, and they need to be vetted by an expert, and you need to run them past a few people. There's no reason to send out 90 emails to librarians if you haven't run it past the librarian who then can give you critique, or a couple of librarians who will say, this is not how librarians work. This will not appeal to them, and this is why. So if you're going to create materials, make sure that before you start using them, you get them vetted by experts, by people on the front lines. You do need very, very strong, robust, very colorful and well-designed marketing sheets that talk about what you're going to be doing and what sort of market you're looking for and what sort of press you're going to be going after and what sort of reviews that you have and what sort of accolades you've gotten. That needs to be in place before you start pitching to the market. But none of that will be in place before you start getting those things. So you need a different set of things in place when you're actually going to get the endorsements and the accolades. And that is simply just a little bit of information about your book. I hope that answers that question appropriately. It is 10:45. Let's see if there's any other questions that went on with Facebook. No, things look good. Hey, I do not believe I have any more questions open. I thank you all for joining me this week on Free Advice Friday. Please go to bestsellervideo.com if you'd like to see a 1-hour class that I teach totally for free on how to grow your readership in your platform. Go to amysadvice.com if you're watching this on a replay on YouTube, or if you're watching it live on Facebook and you want to join us and ask questions that I will be happy to answer. I'm here every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, and I will see you next week on Free Advice Friday.